I'm Andy Berry, a pastor and parent still learning how to disciple not only the kids in my own home, but the kids in my ministry. So I'm having conversations with innovative leaders who are fostering a strong partnership between the church and the home. This is the Nurturing Faith Collective podcast. Welcome back to the Nurturing Faith Collective podcast. My name is Andy Berry, and if you're a ministry leader, a faith influencer, a parent like me, you are in the midst of a busy fall season. From family busyness, whether it be from fun activities like the pumpkin patch or apple picking or fall sports that are happening, or if you're in a ministry context, you've got Fall Fest and trunk or treats and Advent and Christmas are right around the corner. And so you may be feeling a little overwhelmed. And so I'm so excited for you to hear this conversation today with our guest, Katie Bliss and Danika Moubayed. Katie is the children's pastor at Hope Church in Oakdale, Minnesota, while Danika is the elementary pastor at Calvary Church of Santa Ana in Southern California. They're both Bethel Seminary grads, and they are both on the writing initiative for the Nurturing Faith Collective, which is, of course, where this podcast comes from. They're going to share some about their work on the writing initiative and how excited they are to share resources with parents and ministry leaders. But more importantly, they both talk about small practical things that you can do when it becomes a little overwhelming, when the scale of the work becomes really apparent to you. They talk about finding some rest. They talk about small practical steps and really sometimes just stopping and having a conversation. Doesn't need to be a big program. Sometimes it's just a one-on-one conversation. So I'm really excited for you to hear that conversation. We went to a place I didn't think we were going to go today by asking the question, what is your favorite smell? I promise you it makes sense in the context of the conversation, as Danika had that question from one of her students. So enjoy this conversation with Katie and Danika, and thanks for joining us on the Nurturing Faith Collective podcast. Well, Katie, Danika, welcome to the Nurturing Faith Collective podcast. So great to have you on as guests. We serve on the Nurturing Faith Collective together, and folks know about the podcast team, but tell us about the team you're on and the work that you guys are doing.
Yeah, we are the writing initiative. So we are working on creating kind of like a blog or a place for all of the articles that Nurturing Faith Collective is working on gathering together. So it's been fun to get to know Katie and really work alongside each other.
I love it. And Katie, you're sitting in what you told us a minute ago is your brand new kitchen.
That's
So
right.
how's it feel?
It doesn't feel like mine yet. Like there's been a few times I come in like this kitchen's a little too nice. I don't know what to do here.
You're like, I don't want to cook any meals yet. I don't want to dirty anything. I don't want to.
That's right.
Are you the chef in your house?
We pretty much share the role.
Oh, okay.
My husband and I.
Okay, and Katie, tell us where you're sitting right now. I mean, yes, in your kitchen, but whereabouts in the world?
We live in Bayport, Minnesota, and so that's right near Stillwater on the St. Croix River. Yeah, that's where we are.
Nice. What kind of are you guys still summer? Have you jumped into fall yet?
It's a little confusing in Minnesota this time of year. It's been cool this last week, which I love, but I'm it won't hold. It will become hot and disgusting again at least once, and we'll all be like, oh, it's not fall yet, and yeah, it'll do this nice yo-yo effect thing for the next 2 months, and then it'll just be cold for a while.
Gotcha. And Danika, make us all jealous. Tell us where you're
Sorry. Southern California, it has been hot this last week. We're sitting at about 85 to 90. But this whole summer has not been hot at all. It's been lovely. I feel like our true heat wave is always like September, October. So weather is great, but it is definitely warm right now.
I love it. So the writing team that you guys are a part of, how did you come to be a part of the Nurturing Faith Collective? Katie?
Well, that was really Denise Keyswell's connection and her reaching out to us. She reached out to all of us with the MACFM program and just asked us what our interest was in different areas, and writing was one of the ones that I had mentioned. And yeah, it was interesting actually, because I had just stepped down from a leadership role in the EFCA, kind of in the national network area, thinking that, oh, good, we're going to have no extra leadership spots right now. And then like a week later, Denise contacted me and I was like, oh, or we're moving. Okay, I see what you're doing here, Lord. So yeah, that's kind of how that came to be.
I love it. And so, have you written things, like, are you a published author?
I am not,
Oh,
but I do enjoy writing. We had a blog for a while, my husband and I, a long time ago now, just talking about raising kids and like what that looks like and how to get them to, or like help them take steps towards Jesus and increase their faith. And that was just a lot of fun for us. I enjoy writing, so it just seemed like a natural spot to pop in.
I love it. And Danica, how about you?
Yeah, I think I'm the most recent grad from all of the initiative leaders. So I only graduated from Bethel in 2023. So I'm just a lifelong learner. I love to learn, I love to read, and writing has been something that I've always been interested in. I've done lots of like curriculum writing for ministry in my own context. So bringing that into sharing the thoughts and things that I have going on in my life, in ministry, and what it means to kind of collect those things together sounded really interesting to me. So, honestly, when Denise reached out to all of us, I was just excited to be a part of something continuing to learn alongside other people. And that was something that made me excited. So, getting to know Katie has been really sweet because we did not cross paths in Bethel at all. So sharing our experiences in that way, it's nice to have the difference that we have in the way that we do ministry and the way that we kind of collaborate and talk through things now has been really fun. So bringing those things together for this initiative is really cool.
That's awesome. So, if you were gonna write a book, I mean, I think everybody's got that. Like, if I think I could write this book, or I could write a kid's book, or I could write a book on, leadership, or what's the book you have like in the back of your mind that you're just thinking, I'm going to use these writing skills and I'm going to publish this.
Um, I would probably say that the importance of the theology that we're teaching our kids, to be honest. I'm kind of a nerd when it comes to a lot of those things. I love theology and I love seeing how that impacts people and how they view God. And quite frankly, I think there was a professor at Bethel that just kind of challenged me. He's like, "You're all theologians if you're a follower of Christ." I'm like, "No, I'm not. I'm not a theologian. What are you talking about?" And he was just saying that was your connection of how you love God and how you're trying to know Him. Then it kind of made a lot of sense, and it started to really challenge me as a children's pastor, thinking that what we're sharing with our kids, like how we share it and the way we're explaining things, like really matters because it's going to impact them for their entire life in their faith journey. And
Yeah.
that is both something that causes me to pause and also causes me to get really excited about just how God uses us in the lives of kids.
Well, you guys who are listening to the podcast, you can expect that book on your bookshelves late 2027, early 2028, maybe.
That's
It
right.
takes a while to develop. Danica, how about you? Do you have anything that you go, I would love to write this one day?
Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned that. In the last several months, especially in the ministry, summer is like always crazy. But I love to just dream with the Lord and dream about things that He puts on my heart. So I've really been thinking a lot about writing a children's book lately. And I also love to draw and paint. So I'm like, oh my gosh, how fun would it be to illustrate and write something that really helps kids understand how much God loves them. I think that's something that is really important is understanding God's love for them and then also kind of giving picture to some of these Bible stories that we have that might seem like crazy and confusing
Right.
and giving that understanding of reading the Bible can be big, but it also can be so accessible for children. So I don't know. I've just been thinking about that a lot lately. So we'll see.
That's really
Maybe
cool.
that's in the future. Yeah.
Man, you all are perfect for this writing team because you gave these stellar answers to this question. Um, if I were to answer the question, I'm now like, oh, those were great, like children's ministry answer. I'm trying to get a book, children's book published right now that's about a pillow that thinks it was born only for pillow fights, and so it like doesn't know how to like comfort and be like soft, and that's probably because I have like two chaotic, loving, action-packed little boys at home. But yeah, so I'm working on a book about a pillow.
Oh my gosh, I love that.
Yeah, no, everybody who's listening, buy Katie and Danica's books first, because those will be better resources.
Yeah, but something
So
would be fun.
oh, it's so much fun. It's so much fun. Maybe on a later episode we can break down the story of Topper, the pillow. So
Hopper.
um like a pillow top, like a pillow top.
Yeah,
Yeah. Anyway,
cute.
so you both have mentioned working with children. Tell us about your ministry context. Your work outside. Well, I would say your work outside of the Nurturing Faith Collective. Actually, the work in the Nurturing Faith Collective is the work outside of your local ministry context. So tell us about that.
Yeah, well, I've been a children's pastor at Hope in Oakdale, Minnesota here for cheapers over 20 years. So that's it. I know that that's actually kind of unusual but we have
Right.
we have a staff with a lot of longevity. In that time frame, the youth pastor also has been there the whole time. So
Wow.
yeah, so we've worked together for a really, really long time, which is pretty great. Um, but yeah, we love what we do. I love working with kids, being able to help them take steps towards Jesus, working with volunteers, all of those things. I think part of that longevity piece is just the family orientedness of our body. My husband has been attending that church since he was 4 years old.
Wow.
So right, and so that some of us have been around for a really long time. The youth pastor grew up there in that church and then ended up coming back to serve there. So there's those pieces that kind of just were deeply rooted and deeply invested, and yeah, and we're in that season where I'm trying to get everything going because fall's about to kick off in Minnesota. So like,
So
I
I
can't
think
wait to get back to normal ministry. It'll be great.
I know. I spoke in our last episode with Christy, and she used the phrase "beautiful," a beautiful routine, or the beauty of routine. And I thought, yeah, there is something about what's coming now in the fall, and you get geared up for it. I think it's helpful for the folks listening, like to just sort of understand the context. Katie, like how big is the church? How many kids
Oh,
are we talking about? How many volunteers?
we probably have somewhere between 60 to 70 kids on a Sunday morning. That's just 3-year-olds through fifth grade. And then our nursery probably has like 10. It's kind of small right now. But the church as a whole, we're probably around 300 to 400. So we're growing, which is kind of fun.
That's great.
But yeah, we're kind of small right now, and we're enjoying each other and have a lot of exciting things on the horizon that we're working on. Capital campaign, a bunch of crazy things coming up. So
Nice.
it'll,
What about you, Danica?
Yeah, I have been at Calvary Church of Santa Ana since 2015. So this is my 10th year on staff at Calvary, which is kind of crazy. And I've been the elementary pastor for the last 3 years. So I oversee ministry for first grade through fifth grade. I did preschool ministry before that for many years, and I was a volunteer since I was 12. So I've been in children's ministry pretty much my whole life,
Yeah.
for sure my entire adult life. So it's a lot of fun. Children's ministry really is so sweet, and these kids are great and have so many big questions about who God is. And we have so first through fifth grade, I've got about 100 kids on a Sunday. We have two services for children's ministry. One is for our English speaking congregation that also has a pretty good ASL ministry as well. And then our second service is kids from our Hispanic ministry. And then we have a Mandarin church that meets on our campus too. So we have a very diverse group of children coming in every Sunday. And then we also do midweek program as well. So we're getting ready for that to launch actually this Wednesday. So I'm excited about that.
Nice. Are you leading those Hispanic and Mandarin experiences?
Yes, the children
Wow.
for the most part speak English. It's
Sure.
definitely um we've had that like cultural trying to figure out like how to communicate when there is stuff that like happens where I'm like, "Oh, your kid fell and hurt his knee." So I have to be able to communicate that to a parent. But if a parent also their primary language is Spanish or Mandarin, I have to usually have another kid translate for me, or I
Sure.
have volunteers who also speak Spanish. No volunteers that speak Mandarin yet, but maybe I'll work on that in the next couple of months.
Yeah.
So it's really sweet.
That is really sweet. I love the picture of you talking to a parent and having the kid translate. I just love that, you know. And when we say like, "Hey, this is a family ministry," like that's what we mean. You know, that's what we mean. So you were 12 and you started serving in kids ministry. Was that at Calvary at the church you're at now?
Yeah, so I was in middle school at Calvary School. So our church also has a school that's been around. Actually, I think this year is their 50th year, which is very exciting. So I was in middle school, attending school there, and you had to have service hours. So all of my friends were also just serving in children's ministry. So I was like, okay, I'll do that too. And then I just never stopped serving in children's ministry. And I was 12 then. I'm 28 now, so that was 16 years ago. So
Right.
long time.
So you probably have some 12-year-old volunteers. You know, you're leading
Yes.
little 12-year-old Danikas yourself.
Yes, and I have a intern right now who I had her when she was in my 4-year-old class, and I was the teen volunteer.
Oh,
And now
wow.
she's 17 and learning what it means to serve in ministry and take on leadership for our first and second graders. So it's cool to have those moments come
Right.
even at my age where I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm only 28. It's I feel like I shouldn't be having these yet, but it's really happening.
It
Next thing
happens
you know,
fast, I think.
it does, yeah. And next thing you know, you'll be like, you know, going to the weddings of you know, the folks in your ministry. So ministry leaders, pastors, parents, if you're listening right now, yes, get your kids serving early because this is what happens. They turn into Danikas. All right. They turn into people who are using those gifts in the local church and beyond, trying to offer resources and writings and things like that that can train other ministry leaders and parents. I want to dive more into this writing piece of the Nurturing Faith Collective. So, so where do you start? I mean, I think that when we got the directive to start a podcast, it's like, well, okay, we get some microphones and we get some headphones and we jump on here and we talk to each other. We know how to do that. When they say, hey, we want to have this whole writing arm of what we do, where do you start?
That was a big question that we were working on for quite a while. Just trying to figure out, okay, well, what does it look like? What are the hopes and dreams of the executive team, and how can we help flesh that out? So we spent a good chunk of the first year really just trying to figure out what does that mean? What does it look like? What are the posts going to look like? How long are they? How does this fit? And all of that. So it was really creating a framework is where we spent a lot of our time.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
it took quite a bit of us going back and forth to discuss what do we hope for? What are we hoping to see? And because we are connecting with other Bethel grads and bringing in their writing and the work that they're working on and have worked on in the past, maybe even in their program, it's really been helpful for us to say, these are the things that we want when it comes to what is being submitted to us. How do we communicate the changes that need to be made, the expectations we have, and who the audience is? I think that was a big thing that we discussed for a while is how do we get this out to parents and also to ministry leaders and faith influencers? How do we really communicate that desire for us to serve others through the writing that we have? So that was quite a bit of our conversations for a while. And then on top of like administrative tasks, like how do people submit a form that
Right.
submits also their writing into the workflow and getting that all going. So it was a good conversation for sure.
I am sure it was. And like you said, the two of you did not have a relationship, you know, at the beginning of this. And so you've had to sort of learn how to work together and trust one another. How can people access this stuff? Where can they get these writings?
Well, it's coming. I wonder if by the time that this comes out, it might be available. But if you go to the Nurturing Faith Collective website and look for articles or writings, all of that will be available, and you'll be able to separate it by if you are a parent or faith influencer, and if you're a ministry leader, we'll be able to categorize those for everyone. So that way, if you're getting a lesson that you can use on a Sunday, you'll be able to see that in the ministry leader section versus if you're getting just inspiration for parenting your child, you'll be getting that in the parenting and faith influencers section.
So I love this idea that there are students in seminary, specifically Bethel Seminary right now, uh, that are working on assignments. They're trying to grow as leaders. They're trying to understand what comes next. They're submitting these assignments and they get graded. And sometimes it's like, well, that was a great experience, and that goes in a folder on my computer, and to never see the light of day again. And so you're telling me some of those things that folks are working on in school are now being tailored for this and distributed to leaders.
Yes, absolutely. In fact, that was kind of a dream of Denise's from the beginning. On this part was just she's like, sometimes I'm the only one who ever gets to see these papers. And that's a shame. She's like, there's just really good stuff here.
Yeah.
So to be able to take those and then put them into a format that is accessible and user friendly to others it's kind of exciting.
Yeah. Well, I have not submitted any of my assignments. I don't think I will be. But I think there is great stuff from other students out there. What are you seeing? I mean, what are you seeing right now? You all talked about, like, what do people need? Like, what are themes that you all are looking for in submissions? What are themes that you're really excited to, the topics that you're really excited to share with folks?
Yeah, Katie, you had some great conversations that we had started about parenting and activities to do with kids. So I want you to share about that.
Yeah, it was an interesting list, and of course that notebook's not with me right now. So now I'm like, what did we talk about?
It's in your
Uh,
heart. It's in your heart. You
right?
got it. Yeah.
But I mean, lots of different ideas. It can be as simple as putting together a list of, or even a blog post of, like ways parents can help their kids take steps towards Jesus. So maybe that's just, it could be as simple as three questions that are they ask their kids at the end of the day. What was the best part of your day? What was the worst part of your day? Where did you see God today? That's something that my husband and I did
Yeah.
regularly as the girls were growing up. And we felt like when we'd ask those questions, we would get kind of just at least the thrust of their day. We'd be able to also create an expectation in their lives that God is always doing something. And they couldn't always pick nature for a while there. It was always the sunrise. Like, that's not that God is doing that you
Yeah.
saw. Work on this a little bit, but then also getting their best and worst kind of help us fill in the gap as parents, as to like what was their day really like and where do they need some support and that kind of thing. So just it could
Right.
be as that to as intense as like I wrote a paper about how the Holy Spirit speaks to children, and using something like that maybe a practitioner would be like, oh, I really needed some of these resources to be able to speak to my volunteers on that very topic.
Yeah. That's really, really cool. So some of your own writings are maybe
They're
kind of jump started this.
being built, yes.
Yeah. That's
Yeah, we
that's
thought we'd start there simply because we're like, okay, then we have samples of this is what they
right.
sort of like. So
Right.
they're slowly coming to fruition.
Now, just so our listeners can build some trust, what grades did you get on these writings that you're sharing with others?
I don't remember at all. And I think that is a gift from the Lord that
That's right.
I
That's
let
right.
that stress go.
Right. There is a degree on the wall, and that is the proof of the work that was done. No, that's really, really great. As a parent of a 10-year-old and a 7-year-old, obviously I have no idea what I'm doing, right? This is first time. Katie, where you're at in your parenting journey, it's your first time being there, and so no matter what phase of parenting we're in, um, I am always looking for help, right? I am always looking for resources. And I think the number one question that I'm always asking is, can I trust this? Like, who wrote this? Who is this person? And so how are you all not vetting, but is there a process for making sure, hey, these are resources that can really be trusted?
Right. They
Yeah,
have
our
yeah, because you start building that piece, and it's really quite good.
Yeah, our first kind of, I want to say line of defense, but that's not the right word. Like our first threshold is actually people who are connected with Dr. Denise Muir-Kisbo. She really is the one who is pushing us forward and bringing this project to life. So she is reaching out to her connections to be able to say, hey, if you'd like to submit something to the writing initiative, we'd love to have your content. Look through your papers that you wrote when you were at Bethel or something that you've been writing now and submit it. And so that submission happens. And the submission is also, they'll go through and select, I want this to be for parents or and faith influencers or for ministry leaders. This is the topic. This is the direction that it goes. So that way, when we look through it, we can say, okay, this month we hope to have more on prayer. We want to have more focused on the Holy Spirit. We want to have more focused on parenting. So we can kind of see what order we want to be publishing these in. And then, really, what Katie and I are doing are reading through it, editing the content, and vetting what we think would be a big impact for those who are connected to Nurturing Faith Collective to be reading online. So, if we have parents who have read the book and they're looking for more resources on what it is that they need support in from their ministry leaders, we want to be able to provide even further content on whatever topic it is that is relevant to them in that moment. So nothing's published officially yet. We're kind of working on some of those website things, but it's really something that Katie and I have been excited about and are so eager to get officially moving. So we're ready to go through the content and read and edit and then prepare to put it up on the website for everyone to see.
I love it. And you guys, I mean, I'm a little jealous actually. I'm a little envious because like constantly being able to read other people's thoughts and what they're learning and what they're trying to implement, which has to just, I mean, you guys have got to be putting some of that stuff into practice right away yourselves.
Mhm.
That's what I say about the podcast. I'm like, I just love coming on here and interviewing people because I then go, all right, well, there's 4 things I got to write down and start doing tomorrow. I love it. I love it. Um, one of the things that I appreciated about my time at Bethel is, my cohort represented different denominations, different backgrounds. So, I mean, the writing, the submissions that folks are making, I would imagine come from different backgrounds. So is this something that, hey, someone in different denominations, someone in different parts of the country, is there something universal here, right? This is not necessarily targeted at like, this is not coming from one denomination, I guess is what I'm asking, right?
No, it'll be multiple, just like because it's coming from the Bethel grads themselves, and since they're
Right.
pretty different, it will be kind of that way. But it's interesting. The more I get to know people, the more I network with people in children's ministries, we all have the same problems, and it doesn't really matter where we're at.
Right.
You're in California or here, we all struggle with getting volunteers in the fall. Like, I mean, these are
Right.
you know and so I have a feeling that as we start gathering more and more of this written work, we're going to find a lot of those threads that are kind of universal throughout ministry in the context of leading children that will just kind of be like, oh yeah, this definitely fits.
Right. So when is the paper releasing on how to recruit volunteers in the fall? Because I'm anxious to read it.
Me too. I want to read
Same.
that one.
Hey, speaking of different context, whether it be different parts of the country, different denominations, we all face challenges in the ministries in which we're leading. And so, in your local ministry context right now, what are you seeing? What challenges are you facing? And how are you innovating to try and solve some of that?
Yeah, I would say that volunteer piece has been kind of big, partially because we've seen this trend where people don't attend church as frequently as they used to, and so then that makes things a little bit different. So we found a few years ago that on our Wednesday night program, we just didn't have enough volunteers to staff it adequately. We did the best we could for a couple of years, and I just felt like I was burning volunteers out. And I'm like, I got to come up with a different strategy. So my senior pastor and I, we put our heads together and we decided we were going to try something that we call family nights. So our midweek programming, the parents are the leaders, like they come with their kids, so we kind of like to put it in the context of this is the place where kids bring their parents to learn more about Jesus, and they do it together, and it's kind of a beautiful because then when they go to their small group time, it is a family time. They can do it with more than one family, which is also fun, so that there's families influencing each other. And then just how sweet it's become in that after that we have a little snack for everyone, and then the kids go and play with some youth in the gym, and they're having a grand time because they got to go play in the gym,
Right.
and then are hanging out and connecting together, which became really sweet. I mean, we had people who started connecting into community small groups that way because they had a longer time to connect with each other while they just kind of were waiting and watching their kids play. So it was pretty cool.
I love that you took something that, was a limitation. You're saying, hey, we don't know that we can recruit enough people to offer this Wednesday night programming. Let's shift gears. Let's shift the programming really due to the limitations that we have. And you have probably come up with something better than what you would have had it been separate experiences for kids and parents.
We think so. We absolutely love it. So
Yeah.
it's been wonderful. I mean, you always have this hope as a pastor that more people would partake in it for sure.
Right.
But those who come, like they love it, and it grows because they tell other people about it.
Well, volunteers is always a very relevant topic in children's ministry. We've been talking about that a lot, even together as we've been meeting. But one thing that comes to mind is something that parents have been talking to me about is how many questions about God their kids have, and how sometimes those questions are big and lofty and don't make a lot of sense.
Right.
And helping kids understand that it's okay if the question you have feels really big. It's okay if there maybe isn't a super clear answer, but here are some people you can go to ask those questions with, to unpack, to look in the Bible to see what it says, to understand more about who God is. So that has been something that parents have been asking me about is like, hey, my kid has this question about heaven and I don't know what to say to them. I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
let's sit together. Let's unpack that. One of our kids on Wednesday nights, we had like a open question night of like, hey, bring all of your questions you have because I knew this was such a relevant conversation. And one of the kids raised his hand. It so confidently looked at me like, if Jesus is at the right hand of the Father, who's at the left hand? Like, just so concerned. And I was like, oh, buddy, I don't think we need to worry about that too much. But it's these things that we say them because it's the Christianese language
Sure.
that we say so often
Right.
that unpacking it helps kids understand more about God's love and who God is and what Jesus did and what that actually means. So that's been really fun for me to kind
Yeah.
of put on my seminary hat and say, all right, like, let's look at this passage. What's going on in the culture around like giving kids that tool is something I think has been really helpful. So I'm hoping that as I have these conversations with these kids, I can also create some resources for the families to say, hey, your kid's been talking a lot about heaven. Here's a book on heaven. Why don't you read this with them?
Yeah.
Or even if their kid is really concerned about a family member who doesn't know Jesus, and say, yeah, like that is hard. It's hard to know that somebody you love doesn't love Jesus. And so let's sit with that. Let's pray for them together rather than just saying, oh, don't worry about it. They'll love Jesus one day. Like, let's really sit with them and help them unpack those feelings that
Yeah.
they have too. So that's
So
been really
you
sweet.
so you stood, I just am trying to get this picture correct. You stood in front of the kids in your ministry and said, fire away,
Yeah.
whatever question you have. And it was like, was there like a backup or was it just you?
Nope. It was just me. And
I
I'll be
mean,
honest,
the boldness. I love it.
I was having the best time ever.
Sure.
Some of these kids were also just like went. They were kind of bored, but I'm hoping that they'll hear these questions and maybe
Right.
be inspired. But I was having so much fun just being like, okay, let's look at the Bible together. Let's talk
Right.
about it. And my sweet volunteers were like, Danica, you're crazy. Why would you do that? Why would you just give them free reign for, I think it ended up being like 25, 30 minutes that they just had question after
Yeah.
question. And I was like, I want to keep talking about it because if they have questions, I want to
Right.
sit with them in it. I want to help them unpack these things. So that's been a sweet thing to know is coming back because we did that during our midweek series last
Yeah.
year. And so midweek is coming back and I'm ready for their questions again.
Was your answer ever, I don't know?
Oh yeah, 100%. And it was
So,
I don't know most of the time.
uh,
And that
so,
was okay.
so I think what the reason I asked the question is, for anyone listening who's going, I could never, I don't know enough, you know, I think it comes down to humility, right? I think if as long as you're willing to stand there and say, I also am very interested in that question and the answer to it, I just don't know it. I think as
Yeah.
long as you're willing to stand there and say that, but it's when we posture like, oh, we have on this side of the table, we have all the answers, and it's our job just to give them to you over the, at a steady pace over the years. It's like, no, 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 we're still growing as well. We're still learning as well. Um, that's really cool, man, that you would stand up
Yeah.
and just say, I care about you guys enough. I see your passion, I see your curiosity, I see your imaginations rolling, and I will stand here in it with you. That's really, really cool. That's really cool.
It's definitely been something that I look back on with so much fondness because I feel like these kids can know that even if the answer is, I don't know yet, I don't know right
Right.
now, I don't know, but what I do know is that God loves you so much. But what I do know is that God cares about the whole world. So giving them those answers
Sure.
along with the unknown, I think is really the key for making kids realize that the unknown doesn't have to be scary. The unknown does not have to be something that they are intimidated by and want to avoid when it comes to understanding God's role in their life. And so that's something I'm passionate about. And I hope that it makes an impact on these kids for the rest of their lives as they grow up and explore things where they're like, wow, this part of my faith is really hard. And being a Christian can be hard because
Right.
not everyone supports you in that. And if they feel like the answer to, well, where is God in this right now? You don't know, but you know that God loves you. You know that God is always with you. So it's those tools that I hope that kids can really take with them as they get older and grow in their faith even more.
So for those listening, sometimes the answer to, I don't know what my next program is. I don't know what the next idea I have to come up with. Sometimes it's just saying, hey kids, what questions do you have and how can I help connect you to some answers or people who may have them or a place in scripture that may speak to this. Sometimes it really is that simple. So that's really, really awesome.
Yeah.
Um, you know,
Yeah.
uh,
Can I share with you
yeah,
my silliest question I got?
yes, please.
Because it was so funny. And I was like, ooh, okay, we're going to have to talk about this. One of the kids asked me, if Jesus was here, what would he smell like? And I said, oh, probably not great. Like biblical times, they didn't really have soap and showers the way that we have showers. But I said, what if we imagine that Jesus is in heaven? He probably smells like the best smell you've ever smelled. And when we talked about what's the best smell ever, so it
Right.
was just fun to and silly to begin to explore those thoughts together.
No, I love it.
Oh,
So as a host of this podcast, I now have to ask you, what's the best smell you've ever smelled? Both of
Ooh,
you. And I'm trying
oh.
to think of mine too.
okay. I have like a candle that I love, and I will
Nice.
smell this candle every time I walk by it. It's the volcano candle from Anthropology.
Anthropology, of course.
It just smells like floral,
Yeah.
citrusy summertime. I don't know. It's
Yeah.
so good. But that, off the top of my head, that is the best smell. And that's like a scent, though. I'm trying to think of
Yeah.
like a
They make the
when
store
out and
smell
about.
like it when you come in, so you're like, I gotta have
Hmm.
this.
Oh, it's so good. And I will smell the candle every time I walk in that store. But I only have one, and I think that's plenty.
Hey, if anybody's looking for Christmas gifts for Danica, it's an Anthro volcano candle. Yeah.
I'll take it. Sounds
How about
great.
you? How about you, Katie?
I don't know. Some foods came to mind, but maybe because I made brownies last weekend, so I was like, the smell of like baking brownies is pretty great. But then the other thought that came to mind was just, I know this sounds really corny, but like the people that are close to you, like they have a scent.
Yeah.
And so when I think about what the kids said about what it would Jesus smell like, I'm like, oh, like I met my dad passed away a number of years ago now from cancer, and I'm like, just like not being able to smell who he is, like that's a meaningful thing. And
Yeah.
so I'm like, people, babies, like a freshly washed baby, that's a good smell.
Yeah.
I'm also
I
going
know.
to be a grand in November, so I'm really looking forward to this freshly washed baby thing. I'm
Oh,
like,
nice. You get your favorite smell all over again.
I know
That's really
it'll be
great.
great.
I think smells are so often tied to like memories, and I remember coming home from college in the fall and walking into my parents' house, and my mom had, like, I'm sure it was my mom, everything was like so clean, and then there was like fall smells in the food and the cleaning supplies and the fall candle and all that mixed together just smelled like home. And so there'll be times if I'm like in a Target or at home or some store, and near the fall, and it'll just sort of waft past me, and immediately I'm like 19 years old walking to my parents' house. um
That's cool.
so yeah, that, and then just like, I I'm the same way, Katie. I'm like, I like the way my kids smell. They don't always smell great, but
No,
I know I'll miss it when it's
yeah,
gone. So
yeah.
I'm not loving the smell of. We have a new puppy. I'm not loving the smell in my house of a new puppy right now. But there
That's
you go. I don't think Jesus would smell like a new puppy though. To just come full circle. So,
Probably not.
um, hey, I think there are. By the way, all of what I just said totally getting cut out of the. You all had lovely
No,
answers. You all had great answers. So, um,
you have to keep it.
so
keep
uh,
in our you got to keep your own.
all right, that's the good deal. Good deal. I think we've asked this question in each and every one of the episodes that we've had, because the reason that we have gathered, well, one of the reasons that we've gathered as a team in the Nurturing Faith Collective is we just know there are great leaders out there, and we know this is a difficult thing to do. We know leading in the church, leading in this time, in this culture, it can be challenging, it can be exhausting, it can be taxing. And so we want to provide great coaching, we want to provide great resources, we want to provide great conversations to learn from. You have a chance, you have a platform here to speak to leaders who are listening, whether that be ministry leaders or parents who are trying to disciple their kids at home. uh, what would you say to the leader or the parent who looks around the landscape and understands the challenge of trying to disciple their kid right now and is getting really tired? How would you encourage them?
I think the first thing that comes to mind is I would just encourage them to start small but do something. Like don't allow yourself to be paralyzed by the bigness of the task at hand, but to just step into it. So like even that conversation that we had earlier where I talked about the 3 questions, that's a simple,
Right.
small way. Start working with your kids to impact them in their faith. Um, it doesn't have to be a full-fledged devotion every single night or whatever. Sometimes that's not practical. I raised kids in all stages of life now, and there are times where it's just kind of too chaotic for that. And so then what are you going to do, so you're still reinforcing faith in the lives of your kids? Prayer time at night, I don't know, there's lots of different ideas you could do, but start small and be consistent.
I love that. So, I think it's so important for folks to hear. You're a pastor, you're leading this initiative, and you're saying, "Hey, I did not have daily Bible studies with my kids, growing up." Like the
Sometimes it's just plain
yeah,
impractical.
like life was happening, but yet you figured out a way to pass on, an authentic faith to your kids, right? And so, yeah, it doesn't have to be perfect. Small, practical, baby steps. Do something. I love that. Danica, what would you say to folks?
I've been thinking a lot about routine and rhythms of life and how there's also seasons where things are just so much crazier and other seasons that they're not as crazy. Specifically, summer ministry is so unique. We're going to camp, we're putting one on events, we're putting on VBS. I always have to remind myself that that season is not my normal pace of life,
Right.
and that even in those times, finding points of rest is so important. And I know I sometimes struggle with that too, is that when I know that there's things that need to be done, we got to keep going, we got to keep moving. The next event is coming, the next thing for your family is coming. To really pause and reflect with the Lord and to create those rhythms and routines within your family's own schedule that really works well for them is something that I have been encouraged to do, have encouraged others to do, because taking a rest day, even with my husband, to just say, like, okay, this whole day we have no work plans. It's just what are the things that we want to do? We want to spend time with our family and with our friends. We want to walk around a farmer's market and hang out together. And making sure that that is a priority is something that in certain seasons can be hard, but I know is so, so important. So that would be my encouragement is to take time to rest and reflect, to build in different rhythms in your family's schedule. That would be times where you can be together and times where you can recognize that there are times where it's just kind of busy and the summer is crazy or the fall is crazy with sports that you've got going on. So really working through that together and then ultimately do everything with the Lord. I think prayer and listening to the Holy Spirit to guide your every step is something that we should not take lightly, we should not take for granted. And
Yeah.
that also is a great reminder, even for me, when I feel like I'm doing ministry and moving through all of my events on my own accord, that the Lord is with me and He is inspiring me to answer these questions and to create different projects that would help these kids know the Lord even more.
I love it, you guys. But both of you have offered all throughout this conversation, you know, there's not some big, massive secret behind locked door, that if we can just find like, oh, just pull that one, that's the magic fix for everything. It's just these small ways, just not even if you don't have a day of rest, if you have an hour of rest, Katie, like you said, start small, do something practical today, and realize that this is a long haul. Parenting is a long haul. Leading ministries is a long haul. Hopefully, hopefully you stay in it in ministry for the long haul. Katie, 20 years. Danika, 10 years in your context. You all are able to do that because you have found seasons to rest, because you have done small things consistently over time. And so really, really well done for the two of you in the work that you're doing in your local church context. Amazing work in the Nurturing Faith Collective. I know we're anxious to get all of that writing published and out there. And yeah, Danika, like you said, I mean, the hope is when this episode is out there that those resources are starting to be released. And so I just am so privileged to be a part of it with you and really appreciate the time today to share some of your own context and your own stories and your own perspective and your own favorite smells. And, I just want to say, again, really, really good work and so thankful that you said yes to God's leading to join this team. So, hey, listen, if you like content like this, if you like conversations like this and want more, don't forget to subscribe so you know when new episodes come. Danika, Katie, thank you so much. And we'll see everybody on the next episode of the Nurturing Faith Collective podcast.